Hi, I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make a small slimline card. But before I do that, I wanted to let you know a couple of things. First, I have a monthly kit class on Zoom where we just get together and craft and chat, and I'm on hand to help you if you have any questions about your kit. It's really easy to sign up for this one. All you need to do is order one kit or more, depending on how many you want to work on, and how easy it is for you to choose from those great kits, using host code VNCZG7VK. So you need to order that by November 30th, or you can sign up for Paper Pumpkin with me as your demonstrator, Judith Patterson. And if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber with me, then you are automatically invited to every Zoom craft and chat event, and I will just send you that link a couple of days before the event happens. So if it gets to be the day before and you haven't heard from me yet, go ahead and shoot me an email and let me know that, hey, you placed an order but you haven't gotten your invite to the Zoom event. So I hope you can join me for that. So the other exciting piece of news is that this month, so November 2021 until the end of the month, the starter kit to join Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator, even as a hobby demonstrator, is only $75. This kit is normally $99 in the US, and now or in normal times, you get to pick your kit contents. So you get to pick up to $125 of product from Stampin' Up! To fill your kit, which is super fun. But on top of that, you get a free Paper Pumpkin kit. It won't be the current one, but you will get a Paper Pumpkin kit and free shipping. You really can't beat this deal. So let me know if you have any questions about joining, and I will have a link in the description too if you just already know that you want to be part of my team. I would love to have you. Okay, but now let's get to stamping. This is the set we're using today, is this adorable back on your feet with all of these poor injured animals. So we're using all three animals, the sigh, and then also hope your back, nope, we're using the hope things get better soon stamp. So let me go ahead and flip my camera around. And let's get started stamping. So the first thing I want to do is I have these scraps, and they're all different sizes. I'll cut them down later. But I want to go ahead and stamp all of these critters on some of these scraps. So this guy, just gonna stamp right here. Then I'm going to get my turtle. And it's funny that I'm doing the the smallest stamp on the smallest piece of paper and the biggest one on the biggest scrap of paper, because it really doesn't matter. I'm going to be cutting every single one of these. But that's okay. I guess that's just how my mind works. Okay, so now I'm going to get the giraffe. You don't have to ink the whole thing up, but of course I pretty much did. Okay, so I'm just going to set these guys aside for now, and then I'm going to grab a pen that I can see pretty well. Actually, I don't even need to do that, but I'm going to. So at 2 inches, 2 inches, and 2 inches. And then I'm going to grab, this is vellum cardstock, and I have Stampin' Blends. I have Old Olive, Daffodil Delight, and Crumb Cake. So starting with the dark Old Olive, just gonna color a big blob in the middle of this. Then, this is 99% isopropyl alcohol. So I'm just gonna grab a dab of it. Probably don't need to be even drawing it like I am. There we go. And then I'm just going to blow it around with this ink blower. And I want this covered almost all the way to the edges. That's the wrong one. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more ink around the edges of this. I'm going to go ahead and grab some more alcohol. This 99% alcohol dries pretty quickly, which is nice because it doesn't warp the paper as much as other alcohols do, but you've got to be quick because it dries so fast, so you can't wait around too much. I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of these edge spots. This is one of my favorite techniques for backgrounds. I've just learned it this year, and I wonder where it's been all my life because it makes beautiful backgrounds and it's just fun. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to get the dark Crumb Cake, and I'm going to do the same thing. And those lines are kind of my guidelines of how far I want each color to go. Just gonna get some of that green off. Oh, that was a big blob, huh? And it's okay if you go outside the lines like I did. Oh, I really did there. I got it on my ink blower. That was silly. Okay, so I want to see if I can blow some of this edge back in. Then I need to moisten this edge a little bit. There we go. And you can even put this across the whole, like here I have it edge to edge, this I almost do, and you can color the whole background if you want to. This is one of those times when it is just up to you how far you want to go with it. Go totally wild, or you can keep it just around the edges. But I will say we're going to cover a lot of this up with the little animals that we just stamped. So another thing that you can use instead of getting one of these big ink blowers is you can use a like one of those blowers that you use to clean up electronics, like a lens cleaner. Those work great for this technique. And again, the center part's going to be covered up, so I'm not worried that there's not a lot of ink on the center here. I just want the edges. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside and close on my alcohol ink, or my alcohol. Put it to the side. And now I'm going to use my blends to color all of these little guys. So starting with the turtle, I'm going to go over the entire turtle with the light olive green. No rhyme or reason, just coloring the whole thing real quick. Okay, maybe not real quick, I don't color quickly, but I can speed the video up. Okay, and now I'm going to color the belly of the shell with this dark crumb cake. And then let's see, starting with these little narrow strips, I'm going to do every other one. Well, that doesn't work right there, does it? So I'm just going to do the narrow ones. And maybe this one. Then I'm going to use my light crumb cake, and I'm going to do his little claws real quick, just very lightly so I don't end up with ink everywhere. And some of these are going to be cut off. I missed a spot, so I'll go back and do that. So now I'm just going to go back in between the little shapes on his shell with the crumb cake, the light crumb cake, and add that in, and maybe go over some of the hashtag or the hash marks. And then the bottom of his feet. And let's go ahead and add some color to the ground while we're at it. Okay. Now I'm going to color this little guy. I'm going to start by coloring his tree branch with the dark crumb cake. And I might even come back and go over that again in a little bit. Then I'm going to use the light crumb cake to color the sloth. And then I'm going to just kind of go over some of these hash marks or dashes, these shaded areas just a little bit, including around his eyes and his nose. And then maybe just a smidge on top of his head, down here. I think that's good. So now I'm going to take that dark old olive and color the leaves. Okay. And I think his claws need to be colored just a little bit too. There we go. Okay, and now this poor giraffe. So I'm going to do like I did with the turtle, and I'm just going to go over the entire giraffe, not his eyes though, with this light Daffodil Delight. I love that Stampin' Up's blends come with a light and a dark. It makes, I don't know why I'm coloring so much of this, but it makes it so easy to coordinate colors and to know what to use for the shading of the darker areas, especially if you're like me and you're just not real great at coloring. It's kind of like having a little cheat. All four things that make things easier. Okay, so I'm just using this dark one to kind of go over again these shaded marks and his spots. Okay, so now I'm gonna take out my paper trimmer and I'm gonna trim all of these down. to 1 3/4 inches squared. So starting with just cutting the extra off the top and the side. Then I'm going to do 1 3/4 of an inch. I think 1 3/4 of an inch. So there's our first piece. And then again here. Okay, so 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. And the important thing on here is to make sure that you're getting their owies. I'm trying to see, it looks like that's not straight, but it is. I think I was just looking at it funny. Got a little fuzzy, and I don't like having little fuzzies, so I'm going to use my paper snips just to trim some of that up. I think I need to change my blade again. I cut a lot of cardstock, y'all. Lots. There we go. Okay, so get rid of those. And then I'm gonna cut the turtle. I think I'm gonna get just a little closer on this guy. There we go. And then 1 3/4 of an inch. Can you see that? There we go. And I'm gonna leave the top like it is. And 1 3/4. Okay, so there's our 3 animals ready. I don't think we need this anymore, but what I do need to do is go ahead and use the Versamark. I'm going to get the static out of my old olive cardstock. I'm going to use Versamark to stamp Sigh. And then I'm going to sprinkle black embossing powder over that. And now the fun bit. I'm going to use the heat tool to set this embossing powder. Could you see it get shiny as it changed? Let's see. There's the light hitting it good. I love that part. That is another one of my favorite embossing techniques, or favorite stamping techniques. Okay, just gonna throw that lid on real quick. And now we get to start putting the card together. So I'm gonna grab my silicone mat because I'm gonna be a little messy with the glue. The first thing I'm gonna do is flip this over on the mat. Make sure there's nothing on the back of that. Then grab my multi-purpose liquid glue and make a puddle, pretty big puddle. And I have a sponge dauber. I almost forgot what that was called. And I'm just gonna brush over the back of this. I used to use a Stampin' sponge for this and it worked, but the sponge on the Stampin' sponge soaks up so much of the glue. I just find that this gets you a little bit farther. I might be using a little much because see how that paper's curling up now? Egads. Just be careful that when you're moving your paper around, you don't accidentally put it in some glue that you've already brushed off the edge. You don't want your front to be weird and sticky. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up with the corner of this piece of 3x6 basic white cardstock. And I still have my glue and my sponge, so if I need to add a little bit more glue, that is not a problem at all. Because putting these thin layers on, it does dry quickly. I did end up getting a little bit of it. I don't know if you can see that, but I did end up getting a little bit of glue on the front here. Not a problem. It's rubbing right off of this vellum. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to fold this card base in. And like I said before, this card base is 6 1/4 by 6 1/2, and then I scored it at 3 1/4 inches, and I'm going to fold it backwards to what I normally do because somehow I got a dollop of glue on what would have been the inside, and now I've got a nail polish smudge on the outside, which would have been the inside. So normally the little bump that happens when you score, I fold it to where the bump is on the inside, but this time I flipped that around and folded it to where the bump is on the outside, and it's not a big deal. Do want my corner to line up though. I just realized y'all probably can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. I like Stampin' Dimensionals, so I'm going to add some more. There we go. That is plenty of dimensionals. Okay, so I just want to center this up. Make sure that the yellow is towards the top because giraffes are higher. They're taller than sloths or turtles. Of course, I don't know how high sloths go when they hang in trees. Do you? I have no idea. I have some hand sanitizer on my desk. I think I got a little bit of glue on my finger, so I'm just going to use this to rub it off. I definitely have ink on my fingers and glue. Now I'm going to use more dimensionals to attach these guys, and I'm going to start at the top with the giraffe. So this time I'm just going to do one in each corner. And the sloth, I'm doing my best to center these up. And actually, I'm going to put the turtle on next so that I can get the sloth centered between the turtle and the giraffe. Whoa, make sure all your animals are facing the right way. I'll move the sloth down just a smidge. Here's a tip. If you ever, and I think I've shared this before, if you ever stick something down and it is not coming up and you want to move it, very carefully with your heat tool, heat up the back of it and it will release the glue and you'll be able to move it. I wanted to use one of those foil bubble mailers that you get in the mail. I wanted to reuse one that I had gotten. So that's what I did to get the old shipping label off, is I used my heat tool and pulled off that old shipping label, and then I was able to put my new shipping label on and send it again. Okay, so I'm using my paper snips and I'm just gonna trim around this word. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of glue to the back. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more than that. There we go. It's the edges that I really need to have glue on, because I'm gonna stick it right here between the sloth and the turtle. And that's it. That's what we have for the front of the card. And then for the inside, I'm gonna stamp "Hope Things Get Better Soon" using that black Memento ink. I'm gonna stamp it towards the top. And then I stamped it a little crooked. And then if you want to go a little bit further with that, you can get the Memento ink and your giraffe stamp. Need just something to put under this. And then go ahead and stamp the giraffe kind of in the air next to your sentiment. And then you can color the giraffe or leave it black and white. So I'm going to go ahead and color the giraffe and show you what that does on the back of the card, because these Stampin' Blends do bleed through a little, and depending on how much you color with them, like how many layers of color you put on, it can get a little darker. And so it's gonna depend on whether you are bothered by that or not. I know some people it really bothers to have ink bleed through on the back, and some it really doesn't. So I'm using that light crumb cake again around the bottom, and I'm gonna go over those hooves with that. And then I'm gonna grab this darker Daffodil Delight. I'm just going over everything the same way that I did on the front of the card. When coloring with blends and when you're trying to blend them like this, you want to try to get it done while the ink is still kind of wet. It just blends better that way. There we go. So then the back of it is going to look like that. So you can't see too much, but it is definitely there. But then who looks at the back of your card? So the inside is super cute. Oh, sigh. I love these little guys. I don't love how my camera is focusing in and out. There we go. That's so much better. So that is our card for today. I hope you liked it. Let me show you the envelopes. So I got these from Target, and they are size number 6 3/4, and they fit these guys perfectly. So they just slide right in here. And remember, when you're stamping, don't forget to stamp the envelope or decorate the envelope in some other way. I like to stamp the envelope. Of course it's gonna catch. There we go. It really does fit in here, I promise. They're perfect for mailing. So I like to stamp the envelope, or sometimes I add a little bit of Designer Series paper along the flap. Just whatever you like to do. But I like to send envelopes that are decorated so that as soon as somebody opens their mail, they see that they're getting something happy. I just think that that is extra fun, and everybody loves some extra fun. So thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more, then go ahead and give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, please. I would appreciate it so much. And also, Thursday, I'll be going live at 3 p.m. And I may just like fall into my 3:30 p.m. live. But I will be going live Thursday afternoon. And again, that's Texas time, y'all. Happy stamping.